Fam, what is going on? What is going on, fam? How's everybody doing? Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? What's going on, fam? How's everybody doing today? Today is Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. I have so much gratitude for you guys being on the show, for you guys being inside the comment box, for you guys being a member of the Undefeated. Yo, I just dropped some new emojis inside the comment box. If you're a fan funder, go ahead and drop those. You'll see a couple when you bring it up. If you're listening on podcast, basically when you're a member of Bama Football on YouTube, you get different perks to use the emojis inside the comment box. So I appreciate you guys being here. Good morning to Alex, Max, Bama Mike from New Jersey, Stephen Hicks, Chris Waltman. You stay relentless, man. I appreciate you. Road Warrior, Kyle Berry, what's going on? Tem Pitt, I appreciate you. Alex, Jeff, everybody else inside the comment box, I really, really appreciate you. And thank you so much for joining us on Bama Football on YouTube. What's going on, Todd Tipton? Yo, today on the show, all right, what we're going to do is I got a bunch of graphics that I'm going to run through. We're going to do the Crimson Tide headlines, kind of news and notes from around Alabama football, even some basketball news today. But what is the meat of the show will entail the injury report. Will Caden Proctor play this game against Wisconsin? Tyler Van Dyke against Alabama. Alabama heads to Camp Randall. This is the first away game for the Alabama Crimson Tide. You got some head-to-head comparison, right? And we'll talk about Alabama's game breaker and an impact player for the Crimson Tide, along with some other details right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Now, obviously, with today being 9/11, I took part in, working out is so important to me, and I encourage you guys to be active. But I'm also a part of a brotherhood, which is F3, Fitness, Faith, and Fellowship. So this morning, we held our first annual 9/11 Memorial Stair. 64 men show up and partake in the event. It was amazing. It was a really good start of the day. Here's all our crew right here at Bryant-Denny Stadium, just outside of Saban Field. So really good way to start the day. And I think, when you look, and you'll see some of my graphics, and I'm a very patriotic person. There's a difference between, I think, being like political and being patriotic. I am patriotic. I fly a flag outside of my house every single day. I understand that freedom isn't free. And to those that have served, those are currently serving for this great country, we really appreciate you. And for those that lost their lives in that horrible tragedy, we will never forget you. It's amazing to think it's been 23 years since that took place. I mean, I remember exactly where I was, one of those moments that you'll always remember. So some of my logos today and some of the graphics will entail 9/11. And I just, I went to the top of the World Trade Towers, if you could believe it. One of them, I went with my mom, I think in 1999. So just a couple years before 2001. We went up to the top, and it was on a trip that we took to New York City. And, that horrible day, it's amazing to think that 23 years have passed since 9/11. So, look, I didn't have anybody that, passed away in that terrible tragedy, but our thoughts and prayers are always going to be with those that lost their life and paid ultimate sacrifice. You think about all the firefighters and policemen, and first responders. It's just a terrible thing. All right, we move to college football. And we have a marquee matchup this coming weekend. And I say marquee. And yesterday, when I was kind of reflecting on my show and thinking about my show from Tuesday, I strongly feel that Alabama runs away with this game. I think it's for a variety of reasons, and I'll explain that within this video. But let's look at the matchup head-to-head and kind of look at what we got with Alabama going to Wisconsin this coming week in Madison, where it's going to be 81 degrees. Remember, the game is on Fox at 11 a.m. So you have Alabama, who's 2-0 on the season. Their scoring offense is number 7 in the country, scoring 52.5 points per game. Scoring defense only allowed, a touchdown against South Florida. They're allowing 8 points a game, which is number 17. There's a bunch of teams that are tied in that particular category. Wisconsin on the other side, 2-0, scoring offense 27.5 per game. number 87. The scoring defense is 13.5, which is number 40. Okay. So that's kind of just like the outside looking in at this particular game. Caleb, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here on the show, and everybody else inside the comment box. Taylor, what's going on, man? And we appreciate your service to this great country. I'm always rocking different hats. Yesterday, I had to organize my hats. I have so many hats, so I had to organize them. I have a small closet here in my office, so I got like this hat's on standby, right? But we're rocking the United States hat today. I most of my other hats that I wear outside of my show have a USA flag. I usually wear the black flag one. You can get it on Outsider. That's where I get the hats from. But everything else I get it from the student store. Before we move to kind of the meat of our show, let's talk about some Crimson Tide headlines. These are just headlines that are, kind of trending topics, if you will. We started off with 23 years since 9/11. Nate Oates yesterday landed a big-time prospect, Amari Allen, right, out of the Midwest. He's the first prospect to commit from the class of 2025, small forward. I think when you look to what Nate Oates has done at Alabama basketball, it's amazing. And during the basketball season, we're going to cover basketball on our YouTube channel. Why wouldn't we? I mean, my goodness, they are ranked number 1 in the preseason polls. This is a marquee get, and I think when you look to the recruits that he has coming in, it's amazing that he's done this at Alabama in such a short time. When I first got here, I talk about this all the time, it was, Avery Johnson, who was the head basketball coach. So you've seen that transformation under Nate Oates. Great guy, a really good recruiter, even better basketball coach. And I think the sign of a really good, yeah, exactly, Max, right? Out of Wisconsin, like Green Bay, and you get a prospect during the week that you're going to play the Badgers. How about that, right? Yesterday we were talking about St. Norbert, a school that I visited and almost went to school at. I'm glad that I didn't go. It's just too cold for me in the Midwest. But you look at what he's been able to do, and a sign of a really good coach, and this happened to Coach Saban all the time, was when people start plucking away your assistants, and that's what's happening to Coach Oates over the last, couple seasons, and he still maintains such a high level. He's worked the transfer portal really well, and this basketball team coming up should be absolutely phenomenal. 5-star Justice Terry. The update is, and this is from Steve Whitfong. I'm sure you follow him of On3. Look, Alabama is certainly in play for the 5-star defensive lineman. He was here against South Florida, and he got a taste of that Alabama defense under Kane Womack. And he'll be here again for September 28th between Alabama and Georgia. I think it's between those two teams, but it's a really positive update. So you can go out there and research on your recruiting sites. But Justice Terry certainly not out of the equation for Alabama, which is amazing considering that Alabama is already the number 2 ranked team in the country. There was a photo floating around, too, of Julio Jones. You see this at the stadium in this last game? Talking to Caleb Cunningham? I mean, Julio is like the OG of the wide receivers, right? And to be talking to Caleb Cunningham, I'm going on record and saying that I think Caleb Cunningham plays next year. I know you look at all these Alabama wide receivers. I just think he's that good. I know. I mean, I like to hype up the guys coming in with this guy. These highlights are crazy. I'm just excited about him, and I think getting him to sign will be marquee, and him talking to Julio. I mean, you imagine coming to an Alabama game, and you're a wide receiver, and Julio Jones is talking to you? And Julio Jones, he's like the standard of Alabama football. Some of the stories that he has, you've seen like the Barbershop podcast. Remember when Alabama used to have that? I like that. It was like the guy sitting around the barbershop. Julio has some stories. And he would remember when he called out a wide receiver and he's like, look, that's not the standard. This is the standard. All right. Talk about the injury report. I mean, the amount of injuries that Alabama has had to kind of battle through early on in the season, they've had some guys that have been banged up, but it's been nothing serious. Thank goodness. Knock on wood. All right. So the big question, and the question that I have for you inside the comment box. Oh, yeah. Latier Brooks, the baller. Bama Mike, you're out there, man. You could go watch him. Okay. Yes or no? Let's just play a yes or no right away with this injury report. Do you think that Caden Proctor will play against Wisconsin? Do you think that Caden Proctor will play against Wisconsin? Hey, good morning, Christian. I see you inside the comment box as well. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, that Caden Proctor will play. So put me down for a Y inside the comment box. Does he need to play right now? Probably so. I think so. I don't think you can afford, what happened against South Florida. Now, Alabama wins if Caden Proctor doesn't play, but I think from a momentum sake, and I think from getting him some actual reps, I think it's important that he plays. Now, on the flip side, you could say, sit him this weekend, and then you have an open weekend following Wisconsin to get him fully healthy for Georgia. Maybe he's fully healthy now. There is zero way that these coaches would allow him to play if he wasn't absolutely good to go. Greg, I'm with you. I think you need reps, and I think you need to have that offensive line play together before Georgia. Yeah, from it. And I think he is very cautious too. I just think that you got to get some rhythm with this offensive line because they haven't had rhythm from the beginning of the season. And how could they? I mean, their starting left tackle is not playing. Tyler Booker, yesterday you heard on his interview, he didn't even know he was going to play left tackle. That's how, and he didn't have the best grade, but my goodness, can you imagine you're going to play another position today? No problem, coach. Ready, whatever you need. Sorry, this coffee is like really hot. I can see that big bid. You dress him, get him some snaps. I think you just have to get him playing. Like he hasn't played yet. That's just my take. Clearly, I don't know, how he is percentage-wise, but I think he's pretty close, which is great. And I think you have Pritchett at right tackle, and you let Pritchett play, and you see how he's doing. And, I know I was looking at people talking about Wilcom Formby being a starter again. Look, I don't think anybody wants to give up on the kid. You can't give up on the kid. But I don't think he's ready right now. Now, look, players grow up during the season, but I just don't know if you play him and you start him right now. You let him learn. You continue to coach him up. Yeah, he's only a redshirt freshman. But at this level, and it's critical that you have your offensive line rolling. You can't afford for Milroe to be under that type of stress, or whoever the quarterback is. You just can't. You have to. I think you have to go with Elijah Pritchett this game. All right, other players on the injury report. You have. I listed Justin Jefferson. He's nothing's wrong with him at all. Nothing's wrong with him. He had a targeting call, which was not a targeting call in my opinion. So he's out the first half of this game. Cole Adams, by the way, day to day. Who would have? We all saw that. That injury looked bad. So thank goodness for him. Jeremiah Alexander out. Jalen Hell out. Now, what's interesting about Jeremiah Alexander right here is with him being an inside linebacker, I would imagine that you see either Justin Okoronkwo or Caden Jones get some first half playing time against Wisconsin at the inside linebacker position. Now, of course, you have Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell, but if those guys need to blow, they need to come out for whatever reason. You don't have Justin Jefferson. You don't have Jeremiah Alexander. You go to the freshman next. And Justin Okoronkwo and Caden Jones, they have played under 20 snaps, but they've played a little bit early in the season. I know we're only 2 games in, but a lot of freshmen have played. And then Jalen Hell, thoughts and prayers for his continued recovery. He suffered a significant injury to the leg there in the springtime. Very, very talented wide receiver. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for always supporting the show, for always being here right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Today is Wednesday. It is week 3. Our main topic, injury report. Will Caden Proctor play? And a lot of yeses inside the I'm with you. Now we're going to look at Tyler Van Dyke versus Alabama. This will be, I keep saying this, I feel in terms of throwing the football, this should be the best quarterback that they've faced at this point in time. He has a lot of experience. He's thrown for 8,000 yards. But when we look closer at Tyler Van Dyke versus Alabama, and specifically at Tyler Van Dyke for this point in time, it's not overly impressive through 2 games. Okay. Now, completion percentage, just 60%. Yards, yeah, that's right. 406 yards in 2 games. It's not like they played the most challenging schedule, right? Western Michigan and South Dakota. He's only thrown 1 touchdown. His Pro Football Focus grade, not bad, 72.2. Small sample size. Alabama's secondary, they haven't played a good quarterback yet, but they're playing really well. I think the defense, honestly, is playing really good football. When you look to the Alabama defense, points per game, 8.0. Rush yards per game, 124. Look at this. Passing yards, 103 per game. And then this is my favorite stat. Third down percentage. Just 5 of 36, 13.8%. Man, that's really amazing. I don't care who you played, what week it is, that's impressive to me. And then the red zone touchdowns. Look, teams have been in the red zone. The first 2 teams have been in the red zone 6 times. They've only allowed 1 touchdown. Those are numbers that are impressive to me. So when I look to Tyler Van Dyke versus Alabama, I think he's going to be in for a challenge. I really do. And I don't think that Wisconsin has the outside receivers to really challenge Alabama's secondary. Now, they do have Mellusi at running back. Seems like he's been there for a long time. He's a power type back. They have another running back who's pretty good, but I just think that Alabama's defense, if they play sound football, Alabama will put away Wisconsin. Tim, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. Good morning, Southern Red. Thank you very much for being here. Bama Football on YouTube. Talking about Tyler Van Dyke versus the Alabama defense. So my question is for you. Yes or no? Type Y for yes and for no. Oh, man, I'm glad you're here, Mike. Thanks for being here, bro. Will Alabama hold Tyler Van Dyke to under 240 yards of passing? They're allowing 103 yards passing per game. Tyler Van Dyke's thrown for 406 yards in 2 games. Sound off. Yes or no? Type Y for yes and for no. I'm going to type hell yes. Amanda, what's up? Good morning to you. Hopeful, what's going on? I appreciate you being here. The toilet paper emoji, I like that. So everybody's saying yes inside the undefeated so far. That's the question I have for you. Marcus saying yes. Trevor's saying yes. I would be shocked if the guy throws for 250, 260, 270, whatever. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think it might be a little bit rainy too. I could definitely see 2 interceptions. I'll take that for sure. I think the game should be clear, but I think in the morning there might be a little bit of a drizzle. These are the topics today right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here on Wednesday, September 11th. Talked about the injury report. Talked about Tyler Van Dyke versus Alabama's defense. Right now I have it at 240, more or less, for passing yards for Tyler Van Dyke. It looks like everybody's taking the under. Absolutely, man. Hey, JS, I appreciate you. Michael Coleman, what's up, man? Good morning to you. So Alabama heads to Camp Randall. This is our next topic. I appreciate you guys. You know, I updated all my graphics yesterday. I got going, and I started working on all the graphics, and I love working on the graphics. It's like one of the things that I really enjoy about this. And so if you see like new graphics on the screen, I worked hard on all of this. Alabama taking on Wisconsin. All right. And this will be Alabama's first trip outside of Alabama this season. 11 a.m. kick, Fox TV. It's going to be cool. You know what? Because Alabama practices in the morning now, so they should be ready to go absolutely for this game. Sometimes that can be a little bit challenging when you play an 11 o'clock, but I think they'll be good to go, right? Wisconsin is 2-0 as well. Alabama is a 16-point favorite. I think I saw it at 15.5, 16. Jarvis, if you're in here, is it still at 16? Alabama led by Jalen Milroe, 23 of 35, 394 yards with 5 touchdowns. Jam Miller, 20 attempts for 194 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ryan Williams, 6 receptions, 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jahad Campbell leading the team in tackles with 20. Southern Red, in case you missed it, Cole Adams day-to-day with an arm injury. So, man, these Alabama's they've been a little bit banged up, but nothing too significant. So Cole Adams day-to-day. For the Badgers, Van Dyke is 38 of 63 for 406 yards and 1 touchdown. Chez Mellusi is their running back. He has 35 carries for 134 yards and 3 touchdowns. Will Pauling has recorded 10 receptions for 108 yards, yet to record a touchdown reception. And Hunter Wohler has 15 tackles for Wisconsin. I was a little bit, I think in the summertime, I saw that Alabama was favored by, what was it, like 9.5? And now it's up to 16. I think Alabama wins by 3 scores. I really do. The more that I kind of dive into this game, I think it'll be Alabama's defense. I think Tyler Van Dyke will struggle against the defense. And I don't think that they have the playmakers to be able to really be a threat to Alabama. Now, did Alabama play perfect last game? No. We're going to talk about that now. Jamal Scott, I appreciate you being here, man. Absolutely. We talked about 9/11 at the beginning of the show, for sure. Never forget. When we kind of dive more into the numbers between these two teams, and this is why I feel confident about Alabama going to Camp Randall. We'll start with Alabama on the left. Points per game, 52.5. Points allowed, 8.0. 27.5 for Wisconsin, 13.5. They played South Dakota and Western Michigan. Yards per game, 496 per game for Alabama. 386 for Wisconsin. Yards allowed per game, 22.0. Yards allowed for Wisconsin, 249. Now, when you look up the overall grade, it was interesting on Pro Football Focus. You can just look at the overall grade per team. Alabama's 92, but surprisingly, Wisconsin 87.0. It's kind of just a cumulative of literally all the positions. It's probably just some Excel formula. I found that interesting. I mean, look at that big offense. And I think out of the teams that these two teams have played, Alabama certainly played the better team. I mean, South Florida's a good team. I can't, you know what? I'm going to be watching South Florida the rest of the way. I'll be curious to see, which teams beat them, which teams they beat. If they run the AAC, I don't know. That's a pretty good team. All right, let's talk about a game breaker. You know what we're going to talk about. Only 17 years old, 6 receptions, 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, an average of 34.5 per catch. Average per game of 103.5. Mr. Ryan Williams. Let me ask you honestly. Be honest, okay? This is yes or no. Did you think that Ryan Williams would be the number 1 wide receiver or the number 2 wide receiver after 2 games? Be honest. Yes or no? I'm going to say no. I didn't. I thought that he would catch for over 500 yards maybe this season. I definitely didn't anticipate this. Like, what is happening right now is absolutely wild. I mean, Jeremy Bernard has more snaps and more targets, but Ryan Williams is like, he's the guy. So Bama Mike says yes. JS Webb saying no. I have no as well. I didn't anticipate this. Christian is saying no. I didn't know it would be like this. Michael Coleman saying yes. Amanda's saying no. Like, this is wild. I mean, he keeps playing at this level. And I get it. It's only 2 games and, whatever. But what we're seeing right now is he's clearly the guy that Jalen Milroe wants to go to. You go like this, you have a 1,000-yard season as a freshman. Can someone do some quick research? Who's the last Alabama wide receiver to catch for 1,000 yards? Surely there's one. Surely someone has already looked this up. Well, Michael Coleman, you got the inside track, man. Isn't that crazy? The average is 34. Like, he catches like a 10-yard pass and we're like, oh, man, that didn't go for a score. We'll have to look it up, but I don't know if there's a wide receiver that has come in as a freshman and recorded 1,000 yards off the jump. Jay Moore Mechie as a freshman, though? All right, your impact player on the defensive side of the ball. I've been hyping up him, and it's more than hype. It is like factual information that Jahad Campbell is the impact player of the defense right now. And I know Tim Keenan just ate, and he was a defensive lineman of the SEC. Absolutely crushed it last game against South Florida. But, Jahad Campbell, can you guys type JC inside the comment box for Jahad Campbell? Woo, man. Absolutely great start. He has 113 total snaps. He has 20 total tackles. Look at this grade. 89.8. And I'm telling you, like, if college players grade in the high 70s, that's outstanding. You start grading in the 80s, close to 90s, in the 90s, that is like NFL type players. I mean, that's like top 10 type stuff. See, you guys are seeing it too. Man. And the amazing thing about Jahad Campbell is his overall athleticism as an inside linebacker. Same thing with Deontay Lawson. I just think that Jahad Campbell, he just has it. Like, he's playing at such a high level, a super critical player for Alabama's defense. What's up, Paul? I see you inside the comment box, man. Thanks for being a fan funder. What's up, Kyle? Didn't expect Ryan to come on this hot. He'll start getting more attention from defenses. Yeah, for sure. And you saw South Florida get really aggressive with him, and they knew that they started floating a safety over top, a double team. But I think that if they can be creative with him, I mean, his second touchdown, that was a post route. Just keep feeding him. He's critical to the offense, just as Jahad Campbell's critical to the defense. He has 2 tackles for a loss and 1 pass breakup. Right now on Alabama's defense, you can look this up yourself. The number 1 leading tackler for Alabama's defense is Jahad Campbell. Number 2 is Deontay Lawson. And number 3 is Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson last week had 10 tackles in 20 snaps. That's absolutely wild. Bray Hubbard had a lot of tackles too at the safety spot. I put up a video yesterday for fan funders only. So if you're a fan funder, I post different I'll post some videos just for fan funders. And if you want to be a fan funder, that's a way to basically support the channel. There's different levels. I talked about Kendrick Law and about Keon Keeley. And if you think we'll see more of those players as we move forward. For Kendrick Law, it's really interesting to me that he's only been targeted one time. That was ironically for a touchdown. I would love to see Kendrick Law using some jet sweeps, but also Ryan Williams too, I guess. All right, here's a freshman report. Speaking of freshmen, yo, I love these graphics. Because I have to, line it up. I'm so symmetrical, and then you have to crop out the player's face, right? So there's many more freshmen that have played, but in terms of the top freshmen that have played this year for Alabama, in terms of most snaps, you have Ryan Williams, who has 207 yards with 3 touchdowns, as we just talked about. You have Xavier Brown, who's played in 94 snaps at corner position. Now, he's been targeted 5 times this year, and I think he absolutely will be targeted in this game and going forward. Why wouldn't you? If you're an offensive coordinator, you want to go after guys who are considered green. On the opposite side, you have Damani Jackson, but Xavier Brown, 94 snaps at the corner position. That's impressive to me. Jalen Mbakwe, 44 snaps at the corner position as well. He's also returning punts, as Cole Adams is day to day. What's up, Jarvis? I see you inside the comment box, man. Good morning to you. Red Morgan, 51 snaps at the Husky position. Now, he is rotating in with Devontae Smith, so they're keeping those guys fresh. I think, for example, as you see, Red Morgan has 51 snaps. I think Devontae Smith has like 73, right? Jay Williamson is saying we need to see more Kobe. Kobe has the highest grade right now, I think, on the Alabama offense. That's another good one. I should do like player grades like this. But I think Kobe has the highest grade. And they've targeted him for sure. And he's come up with catches. So I think the 3 leading wide receivers for Alabama, Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Kobe Prentice. And then Zay Mincy, 19 snaps. I think all of those 19 snaps came against Western Kentucky. I don't know if he played much in the second game. All right, let's look at keys to the game. But before we do that, I just want to say ways to support the channel. I appreciate you guys. This is what I do for a livelihood. So super chats during the show certainly go a long way. You can hit the dollar icon, basically like tips. Become a fan funder. There's different levels. For only $2.99, you can support the YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys. Even if you're not a 49ers fan. You could simply just hit a thumbs up. Honestly, during the live show, it really helps. You can become a sponsor. If you own a business out there or if you know somebody, you can, become a sponsor. So those are certainly ways to support the channel. And then you can follow us on social media. I didn't know which picture to put on the right over here. But on X, Bama YouTube, Facebook, Bama on YouTube, TikTok, Bama YouTube, Spotify. We have a podcast where I cut this show and upload it. And then if you just want to follow like my daily inspirational stuff on Instagram, it's mostly just me like working out or telling you to push yourself or to be positive, or about my kids, Mr. Kyle Henderson on Instagram. So I appreciate you guys, supporting the channel. It doesn't matter. Honestly, like a thumbs up goes a long way. So appreciate you guys, for being here and rolling with me on Bama Football on YouTube. I was thinking about keys to the game. And I think we can all agree on these first 2, right? I mean, these are easy. Keys to the game. Keys to the game include an improved offensive line play for Alabama. Now, does that mean that Caden Proctor has to play in the beginning of the show? I said yes. If he's ready to go, you play him for the continuity of the offensive line. You put Pritchard at right tackle. You don't give up on Wilcom Formby, but you put Pritchard in and you try to get that offensive line rolling. You run the football effectively. You give Jalen Milroe a clean pocket to throw to his game-breaking wide receivers, and you get a lot of momentum from an improved offensive line play. I think that's critical. I think you do take a step backwards if the offensive line struggles once again. Yesterday, we brought up some different offensive line combinations. I don't know, but I think you start Pritchett. I mean, Pritchett was going to start at left tackle before Caden Proctor decided to transfer back. Now you put him at the right tackle position. He's clearly played there before, and you see how he's doing. But I think it's really important to get Caden Proctor reps before Georgia. I really do. Now, clearly, if he's not ready to go, you can rest him this week and you can rest him next week because Alabama has an open game, and then you turn the page to Georgia. The offensive line has to improve. I mean, look, it's pretty impressive that Alabama is this dangerous on offense, considering that the offensive line grade collectively after 2 games is 53.1. I think point number 2 goes without saying as well. Alabama in 2 games has fumbled 6 times. They've lost the football 4 times. You can do that against Western Kentucky. I mean, you can't really do that against South Florida. That was a pretty good team. You can't turn the football over. That's unacceptable. Penalties and turnovers will prohibit you from making the playoffs, from winning the SEC title, from winning on the road in the SEC, which Alabama is about to do in a couple weeks, a bunch of times. Someone brought up an interesting stat and said that Kalen DeBoer's teams have been penalized for the last 3 or 4 years. I'm going to dive into that to see if that adds up. But so far, Alabama is averaging 89 yards of penalties per game. It's only 2 games. It's a small sample size. You have to clean it up. Can't turn over the football. Now, on that side, Jalen Milroe, he doesn't have an interception. But there's been 2 fumbles. Jam Miller fumbled. Kendrick Law fumbled, right? And the penalties, they have to improve. Now, there was a couple penalties last game. As we continue to look at the second watch, they didn't seem like penalties. Like, I don't like the targeting. I didn't like, a couple of, even the calls on Formby. Now, some of them were certainly penalties. But you get what I'm saying. Clean it up. The next 3 points. What's up, Chris from New Jersey? I appreciate you being here. Ryan, good morning, man. Thank you very much for joining us, and Jeff as well. I think you have to prohibit big plays through the air. You can't give Tyler Van Dyke, room to throw. Granted, I think Alabama's defense will do a good job bottling him up and getting pressure on him. I could even see another sack or 2 coming from Q Rob, who's been playing at a really high level. But you don't want Tyler Van Dyke to, first drive, he opens up with like a 80-yard touchdown on Xavier Brown. Don't let that happen. Keep Camp Randall in check. Van Dyke has only thrown for 406 yards and 1 touchdown in 2 games. It doesn't seem like he has a lot of momentum or a lot of game breakers on the outside. You don't want Alabama to be the first team that allows him to go crazy passing, right? 300 yards, you'll never hear the end of it. So I think if you eliminate big plays, I think Alabama's built to stop the run. They've done a really good job stopping the run, besides Byron Brown running up the middle, on that one particular drive. But he's a beast. This next point is, I feel, can take Camp Randall in Wisconsin out of the game completely. What we're seeing right now from Jam Miller and Justice Haynes is just the tip of the iceberg. I really feel if you feed these 2 young men, I don't care who has the hot hand, I think they can completely take a stadium out. I think they can eat up the clock. I think they're clearly game breakers. What are you going to do? Tell Justice Haynes to run out of bounds when he's, busting out an 80-yard run? Big play capability. If Alabama can run the football effectively behind Caden Proctor, Tyler Booker, Parker Brailsford, I don't know, even in a 12 personnel set, I think that gives Alabama a lot of momentum. These guys are phenomenal. We showed the side-to-side combo. They ran for over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns in just 2 games. And I'm not saying eliminate the passing game at all. I'm just saying rely on these running backs. And you know what? The weather's not going to be that good anyways. At least the morning looks a little wet. Hey, D. Harsh, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Do you agree with my point four? Like, an effective running game will open up the pass. It's amazing. I think I was kind of wondering if it would be at the beginning of the season. We're talking about like top tandem running backs. You have Ohio State clearly, who has some good backs. But man, I think that Jam and Justice is probably the best tandem in the country. I mean, you could probably, have some good arguments, but these guys are playing at a very high level. Take the momentum early. Talking about keys to the game. You take the momentum early with an established drive that either eats up the clock or a quick drive with Jalen Milroe hitting Brian Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Kobe Prentice, whoever it is, Kendrick Law. I don't care. But a big play early, and then you have or a defensive turnover. When you're on the road and you have one of these big plays on the opening drive, it can last the entire game. Camp Randall, I think, will be a challenging environment to play in. But Alabama and a lot of these guys on the team, they've already played in the road in some very challenging environments. Last year, they went to Kyle Stadium, which is much louder than Camp Randall, and they came away with the dub. I love me some Kobe Prentice, man. He's done a really good job, like I said earlier in the show, right? Highest rated player on the offense. And I'm curious to see if Kendrick Law is utilized in this game. Whatever. I just think an established run and you take the momentum away early, I think you get things rolling, right? Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. When we took a look at last week's game, you see that Alabama rolled through South Florida by a score of 42-16. Jalen Milroe was 16-26, 194 yards with 2 touchdowns. Jam Miller, 15 attempts for 140 yards with a touchdown. Ryan Williams, 4 receptions, 68 yards and a score. Jahad Campbell, 11 tackles on the other side for South Florida, who is now 1-1 on the season. Byron Brown, 15-35 with 103 yards passing. Byron Brown also ran for 130 yards. Got to clean that up, and that is unacceptable, right? And the headline of this game read that the fourth quarter turned up Spurs Alabama. That's how dangerous Alabama is. Hey, Javion, thank you so much for the email. I got you, man. I appreciate you hitting me up. I mean, it's a dangerous team. I strongly feel that this is the most potent offense in the country. What's amazing is just the offensive line. We still haven't seen the offensive line get it going. So when you look at the Week 3 matchup and you see that they're favored by 16, I'm absolutely thinking Alabama wins by 21. At the beginning of the summertime, we didn't really know a lot. I felt that 9.5 was even a stretch. But now 16, I'm feeling comfortable. Now, who's with me inside the comment box? Do you think that Alabama beats Wisconsin by more than 16 points? I'm saying yes. I'm typing Y inside the comment box. What do you think? Let me know what you think inside the comment box. I think you take Alabama, by 24 on the road. And now Alabama has a little bit of rat poison. People starting to poke at them. Your offensive line can't do this. Everyone's talking about the quarterback play, right? The outside noise. You use that to propel your team on the road. Byron say no, but we have everybody else saying yes, it looks like. And I honestly think it's because of the defense. I think the defense will set the offense up and you'll get things going and this team will absolutely roll. Well, I appreciate you being here. In case you missed it, we talked about this at the beginning of the show. The injury report reads like this. Justin Jefferson out the first half after a targeting call. Caden Proctor day-to-day. Cole Adams day-to-day. Jeremiah Alexander out and Jalen Hell out. These are the topics that we covered on the show. The injury report, we talked about Tyler Van Dyke versus Alabama. Alabama heads to Camp Randall as a 16-point favorite. I showed some detail in why I feel Alabama wins by more than 16 points. That was included in our head-to-head comparison. We talked about the game breakers, the impact players, and some freshmen as well. We also covered some general Crimson Tide headlines, including Nate Oates landing Amari Allen out of, ironically, Wisconsin. We talked about five-star Justice Terry, still liking what he sees from the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then we mentioned that photo of Julio Jones talking to Caleb Cunningham. Alabama still ranked number 2 in the country. Yo, we got a good one this weekend, this Saturday, between Alabama and Wisconsin. I want to get your take on this game inside the comment box. What do you think are the keys to Alabama moving to 3-0 going into that open week? I can't wait. This will be a great game. And you know who I have a lot of respect for is Luke Fickell. I think he's a really good football coach. And I talked about that on my Tuesday show. I really like him. I think he's a quality coach. Look, Alex Gollash is a good coach. Alabama this season, Alabama's not only playing good teams, they're playing, and usually, of course, good teams are led by good coaches, but you look at all the coaches that Alabama is set to play, it's amazing. What an opportunity for this team, and what an opportunity for Coach Kalen DeBoer and his squad to go on the road to Wisconsin this coming weekend. Again, this is my crew this morning. We did a 9/11 memorial stair climb at Bryant-Denny Stadium, which was awesome. It's really important to me. That group is really cool. And then I talked about ways to, that you can support the show. Super chats, becoming a fan funder, thumbs up during the show, become a sponsor. There's my email. And then we're on social media pretty much everywhere else that you can find it. I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for believing in the product, for supporting Bama Football on YouTube. Every single day at 9 a.m., I also upload the show onto Spotify, Bama Football on Spotify. As news happens, I'm live. And, during the actual game, I have a watch along where you can join me and we watch the game together, which has been pretty fun. I mean, this one would be great because you got 11 a.m. and look, this is going to be a good game. I just think Alabama has a lot in store for Wisconsin this coming weekend. And I think they'll be turned up coming off a tough game against South Florida. I appreciate you guys being here. Please drop me a thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful 9/11. Never forget 9/11, 23 years ago. And I appreciate you guys, and I'll be back right here on Bama Football on YouTube from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Thank you so much for joining me today, fam. I love you all, and I will see you